The NFL has been a staple in American sports since 1920, but it's still proving to be a big success for all 32 NFL teams and their owners. 28 NFL teams are valued over $2 billion. 2017-2018 season, the NFL generated a revenue share of over $8 billion from TV deals, merchandising, and licensing deals. That's known as the national revenue, and no matter how well or how bad your team does, teams split the national revenue evenly 32 ways, meaning teams around the league received more than $255 million from the NFL in 2018. The NFL sponsorship revenue totaled more than $1.3 billion. Of the $454.9 million the Green Bay Packers made in the 2017 and 2018 season, more than $420 million went to expenses. Most of it went to player costs, which made up $212.7 million that year. Stadium upkeep, marketing, team costs, and general administrative costs total $208 million. So after all the bills are paid, the Green Bay Packers are left with an operating income of $38.5 million. Every NFL team is rolling in cash. Just take the Detroit Lions. The team had a total revenue of $361 million in 2017, but according to Forbes, the team had an operating income of $4.1 million. Another issue weighing down on the NFL, a drop in popularity among up-and-coming sports fans and players. In the wake of the concussion debate, more than 67,000 fewer high schoolers are playing football today than in 2009. But that controversy isn't affecting the NFL's bottom line. It's still seeing revenue growth. From the 2016 season to the 2017 season, the NFL's national revenue rose nearly 5%. The NFL is also seeing a boost in television ratings
Our Thursday night game, our first game on Fox.
Big mistake.
Let's be honest, the violent aspect that draws so many people to it.
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy is a progressive neurodegenerative brain disease. That means symptoms don't begin until years after the injuries and can often get worse over time, causing dementia. And here's the kicker. You can only find out if you had it if you are dead. All of these people have one thing in common. They're all at risk for CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a brain disease caused by repetitive hits to the head. It can be deadly, and it's much more common than you think. CTE appeared in the limelight in the early 2000s when Nigerian neuropathologist Bennett Amalu worked on a case with former Hall of Fame NFL player Mike Webster, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. After retirement, Webster began to show signs of depression, extreme mood swings, and eventually dementia. Footage from the documentary League of Denial shows Webster being interviewed and stopping mid-sentence.
The things we do to one another, okay, hell, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just tired and confused right now. That's why I say I can't really, I can't say it the way I want to say it. I could answer this real easy at other times, but right now I'm just tired.
Webster had CTE and was the first NFL player diagnosed with the degenerative brain disease. Amalu's discovery led researchers to study the potential link of brain trauma in football and CTE further. In 2017, neuropathologist Anne McKee released her own study in the Journal of American Medical Association. McKee and her researchers studied 111 former NFL players whose brains were donated for research and discovered that 110 of them had CTE.
We're really starting to understand the earliest manifestations of this disease, and of course our main objective, our overarching goal, is to help the people that are living be able to diagnose this disease during life so we can bring some hope and optimism to these people. If we can diagnose it, we can also monitor it, and we can test different therapies to see if they're effective in treating the disease.
In the early stages of CTE, researchers found the most common cause of death among those with mild levels of CTE was suicide. One of the highest profile examples was the case of Aaron Hernandez, and while in prison, Hernandez committed suicide. For those in later stages, dementia and Parkinson's disease was the leading cause of death.
And it's estimated that, the average football player gets between hundreds to 1,000 hits per season. If you played for 10 years, you can imagine that's 10,000 hits.
Outside of football, other sports have introduced concussion protocols. They're designed to keep players who may have sustained a traumatic brain injury from returning to the game.
NFL players no longer practice as much in pads during the week and during training camps. The NFL has changed rules in terms of where a player can be hit, whether you can use your head as a battering ram. You no longer can, but that used to be a staple of NFL defenses.
While safety reforms have been made to player concussions, NFL officials and college football coaches have often been criticized for questioning the research between football and CTE.
It's clear that there is a link, so why they're denying it, I don't know. But there will come a time, hopefully sooner rather than later, that we will have a living diagnosis, and at that point, leagues will no longer be able to say, oh, we still need more science. The science will be there. The fears about CTE and the fears about the long-term damage to a child's health is a concern for any parent, and we're seeing parents ask more questions. We're seeing parents raise more concern until we have something like a living diagnosis, where then we'll be able to say, okay, this person is predisposed genetically, or we can monitor a teenager as they play.
Man ever took in the ring, and
After years of getting hit in the head, many boxers develop dementia and depression as part of a disease called dementia pugilistica. Nowadays, dementia pugilistica has a new name, CTE, and it's not just found in boxers, but in increasing numbers of football players, even causing some people to question the future of the NFL. So people have always known that playing tackle football causes injuries. Okay, I'm gonna play football and maybe I'm gonna break my legs. Maybe I won't be able to run when I'm 50. Players have known that forever, but what we didn't know is that playing tackle football can cause really long-term brain injuries. There's something a lot less sad about a 50-year-old who can't run versus a 50-year-old who can't think.
The things we do to one another, okay, hell, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just tired and confused right now. That's why I say I can't say it the way I want to say it.
Over the past few years, a number of former players have committed suicide after battling depression. Afterwards, they gave their brains to science, and upon examination, they showed telltale signs of CTE. Scientists don't yet have a way of diagnosing CTE for sure besides doing an autopsy. So apart from the 50 deceased former players confirmed to have it, they can only suspect that hundreds more are living with it right now.
9, 7, 8, 4, 3, 2.
9, 7, 8.
For a while, the NFL was completely repressing research.
You can't handle the truth.
They were telling players that concussions were a relatively safe type of injury to suffer, but with pressure mounting, the league changed course, settling a class action suit for $765 million and pouring money into CTE research. The issue hasn't gone away at all. The NFL's been trying to solve it, and it seems like they're putting genuine efforts into it, but it just might not be possible. In theory, concussed players are no longer allowed to enter games. They've moved the kickoff 5 yards down the field, so a lot more kickoffs become touchbacks, so you don't have the high-speed impacts happen when the kicking team is trying to cover the kick and tackle the player. They've changed the rules in terms of head-to-head hits. On defense, you can't use your head or your helmet as a weapon. If you're a running back, you also can't lead with your head to hit other players' heads. Those are the easiest things to target. They're kind of the lowest hanging fruit. They can't get rid of concussions entirely, those rule changes. Some concussions happen on the most random incidental plays. I mean, you have these huge, fast guys running at high speed, so even if you ban specific types of hits, we're still seeing concussions happen with alarming frequency. There's another problem. Even if they got rid of concussions completely, some of the scientists think that subconcussive hits, so even milder type of hits that we might not even notice watching on TV, also lead to CTE over time. They're still trying to figure that out, but if that were true, that would basically mean that the game of football as we know it is fundamentally unsafe.
Right there. That's not okay right there. This guy's already wrapped up.
Flacco rolling, and running, and he's going to have to, not the ball comes out, helmet's off. Joe with a good run, slides. And it's definitely a penalty as the quarterback gives himself up and he leans that arm in there. That's...
They get the 8-yard loss back. The ball is out, the play's blown dead. It's a 12-yard, ooh boy. Ooh boy. I don't believe Kelsey ever saw him. That ball came out.
12 of 19 in this half. Oh my goodness!
There's going to be a post-high safety just waiting for you this portion of the field. Change his level, which the way he went to hit Marquise Goodwin.
Watch him put his head down.
Yeah, he actually puts his head down right into the shoulder.
Right. Oof.
You know, I don't think that's a penalty. I mean, how can you call that penalty?
Roughness, number 26.
Roethlisberger, time and on target, and Brown 3 with a big hit.
to the head, and Antonio Brown.
You know, he's got a history of concussions.
Yes, he does. Cost him a good part of last season.
You know, intercepted by Colin Jones.
The middle puts air under it. There's Devontae Adams at the end of this play, and that's tough.
I believe you get one freebie, you know, that comes in play here.
Okay, he's wrestled down.
For Houston, Tom Savage blasted from his own end zone as he was attempting a pass. You see him down and injured on the play. It's a rough-looking.
The NFL is more popular than ever. The Super Bowl gets over 100 million people, so that's a third of the country watching it. And just on a week-to-week basis, you know, more people watch football than any other sport. It's more popular by an order of magnitude. But lots of parents are worried about the safety of the sport. A lot of people have come out and said they wouldn't let their kids play football because of the health risks.
In fact, if I had a son, I would be real leery of him playing.
The number of kids under 16 playing tackle football nationwide seems to be declining, and some state lawmakers have even proposed banning it for kids under 14 entirely. It's unlikely that people are going to just turn off the TV because they realize that sport's unethical. What's going to kill football, if it dies, would be parents not letting the next generation of players put on a helmet.
Got to find a way in this game to help eliminate that play right there, and I don't know how you do it.
Money. And we're here to try and give you, in layman's terms, the quick rundown of how we got into this mess between the owners and the players to begin with. The owners are already getting $1 billion off the top of total revenue before anything is shared. In the new deal, they want $2 billion. They're saying the players should give it back because it will allow them to build new facilities, create new revenue lines, and eventually the players will get even and then make more money. The next biggest issue, the 18-game schedule, but there's not really that big a debate there. That's a leverage piece for the players. They know they've got to go to 18 games because by adding those 2 games, they'll also add a second bye week. That's 3 more NFL Sundays. You're talking about an average of $400 million per NFL Sunday. That's $1.2 billion in new revenue, the only place they can find new revenue. And if they can divvy that up appropriately, that almost gives the owners what they want. A rookie wage scale would be next on the list. Both sides agree that it's necessary. Over $500 million spent on rookies last year in 2010. The owners and the players have said, let's knock that down to about $200 million. What they're arguing about is where the other $300 to $350 million is going to go. Both sides willing to give some of it to retired players retired before '93, but not sure what to do with the rest. The owners would like some of it, the players want it. That will get worked out. Next biggest issue, those pre-'93 retirees, how do they take care of them? Again, Eric, I think these are the easy parts. Once they can get comfortable with whether the owners should get $1 billion give back, this is going to fall in the line relatively quick.
The biggest thing, like you said, is how to split up that revenue. That is the bottom line issue. And all these other issues, they're tied into money. So let's just say it, money has been the biggest reason that we've got to this point.